So people have a lot of questions. What really happened with Snow White? So after a long wait, Disney's new Snow White finally came out last week, and to put it mildly, my friends, this has been a colossal mess. I mean, it's been a colossal mess since the very beginning, basically, but this release, this premiere.
So, people are really confused. What actually happened with Disney's Snow White? After waiting forever, the new Snow White movie finally dropped last week, and wow, it's been a total disaster. Honestly, this whole thing has been messy from the beginning. But now, with the movie officially out, the situation just exploded. There's been non-stop drama, controversies, viral rants, political debates, fan petitions. And now Disney has finally done what a lot of people expected. Rachel, Zegler is out, and
no higher blacklist.
Right? If you're in a Disney movie, be in a Disney movie. Be excited, be happy. I'm not looking to you for answers on foreign conflicts. You know what I'm saying? On major Middle East affairs and how to negotiate peace deals. I'm not looking to Rachel Zegler, a dumbass little actress, for how to negotiate world peace. So just do the movie. And I really wonder if Rachel Zegler is going to have a career years down the line, because how can you book an actress? I'm sure she got millions of dollars for the film. I'm sure she was compensated well. You book an actress, you pay her well, and then she goes out there and speaks so negatively about the project and everybody involved. So I think producers are going to think twice about having her come on to join their films.
Rumor has it, Brett Cooper might be the one replacing her. Yep, Disney is basically slamming the reset button. But this isn't just about replacing one actress. This goes way deeper. What Disney is doing looks more like a full-blown cleanup.
Narcissist. The original cartoon came out in 1937, and very evidently so.
Okay.
There's a big focus on her love story with a guy who literally stalks her.
Yeah.
Weird.
Operation. It's not just a recast. It's like they're trying to erase the whole Rachel Zegler era completely. So today, let's break it all down. We're going to look at why Disney reportedly put Rachel Zegler on a kind of secret do not hire list, and why this drama is still blowing up online. You see, when you're in a Disney movie, people expect you to love being part of the magic. You're not there to lecture people about world politics or global conflicts. But Rachel? She started making headlines for all the wrong reasons. She kept giving interviews that rubbed people the wrong way, talking negatively about the Snow White storyline, about Prince Charming being creepy, and just slamming the original 1937 cartoon. I mean, how do you spend millions of dollars hiring someone and then watch her bash the movie she was paid to promote? Producers noticed. Hollywood noticed. And now, a lot of people are asking, will Rachel Zegler even have a career after this? From the very beginning, her casting sparked controversy. Fans were divided. Then, her interviews made things worse. Add to that her political takes and her non-stop social media drama, and it just kept snowballing. She even called the prince a stalker, saying the love story was weird. That just made people angrier, especially fans who grew up loving the original story. But even with all that, Disney kept her in the role, until now. So what finally changed? Insiders say Disney reached their limit. Between the backlash from conservative fans, boycott threats, and her never-ending media drama, Disney realized it wasn't worth the risk anymore. Keeping her as the face of one of their most iconic fairy tales? Too dangerous for the brand. That's when they quietly started phasing her out. They stopped promoting her on official social media accounts. New casting talks began. Rumors of test screenings popped up. Fans noticed quickly. Suddenly it went from, "This is our Snow White," to "Rachel who?" Rachel hasn't responded publicly yet, but knowing her, she'll probably say something. Soon, maybe an emotional apology, a shady subtweet, or a cryptic TikTok. Who knows? What is clear is that Disney is officially done trying to fix this mess. They're moving on. And while all of this was happening, the name Brett Cooper kept popping up. Here's where it gets really interesting. Remember last year when Brett Cooper left the Daily Wire? That shook a lot of people. She had been tied to major conservative projects, especially one that was meant to compete directly with Disney's Snow White. It was called Snow White and the Evil Queen, made by the Daily Wire's Bentkey streaming platform. Their whole pitch was simple. Let's remake Snow White the traditional way. No woke politics. Just classic storytelling. And Brett Cooper was supposed to be the face of it. But then, Brett quietly left the Daily Wire in late 2023. And just like that, the project vanished. No new trailers, no release date, nothing. The teaser that had been released earlier showed Brett dressed as Snow White in a montage of stock footage. That teaser clearly came out just to rival Disney's version with Rachel Zegler. It was a culture war, plain and simple. Jeremy Boring, one of the co-founders of the Daily Wire, didn't hide it either. He said their version was about bringing back values and pushing back against what he called Disney's woke agenda. But once Brett left, the whole thing hit a legal wall. Why? Because her contract had tied the film to her name. When she exited the company, it killed the legal rights to move forward as planned. They couldn't release the movie with someone else unless they restructured the whole thing from scratch. Now, as for why Brett left, that's still a bit of a mystery. Neither she nor the Daily Wire has really explained what happened. But insiders are whispering that there were tensions behind the scenes. Maybe creative disagreements, or maybe Brett just wanted to leave the conservative content bubble to try something more mainstream or independent. Whatever it wasn't a peaceful exit. People close to the situation have described it as frosty. And the aftermath? Brutal. A major production was shelved, and one of the Daily Wire's biggest stars parted ways with their leadership. Some fans think Brett's social media hints she's stepping away from hard political content and maybe looking at a new direction in her career. But again, nothing official. So what was supposed to be this epic conservative counter to Disney's Snow White? It ended up being a cautionary tale about contracts, control, and what happens when creative visions don't line up. No Brett, no footage, no release date. Snow White and the Evil Queen might stay a project that never saw the light of day, but the fallout didn't stop there. Brett Cooper had other roles and voice acting gigs lined up for different Daily Wire Plus shows, like Mr. Bircham, the animated series featuring Adam Carolla. And now? No one knows what's happening with those either. Will those projects get new actors? Will they be canceled? Will Brett come back in some other way? Nobody's saying anything official, but behind closed doors, it's clear this was a big dramatic split. In the end, Brett's departure wasn't just a quiet exit. It was a breakup, loud, messy, and very public. And now we've got two broken Snow White stories, Rachel Zegler cut from Disney and Brett Cooper out of the Daily Wire version. Both actresses caught in the middle of culture wars, studio drama, and internet chaos. And the fairy tale? Yeah, it's looking more like a cautionary tale than a happy ending. So let's talk about Brett Cooper, the Daily Wire, and all the drama that's been swirling lately. Because honestly, it's juicy. First off, fans noticed something big. Brett unfollowed the Daily Wire and a bunch of their original team members. Then, she deleted that wedding photo with Reagan Conrad. And yes, that was a major move. Now, this wasn't just any picture. It wasn't just a friend showing up to a wedding. That photo symbolized a real friendship and even a kind of professional unity. So when Brett took it down after Reagan started getting active in the comments section, that was loud. It felt like she was saying, "We're not cool anymore." During a recent segment, Brett was asked about it. The interviewer asked, "Are you still friends?" And Brett just replied, "I don't think so." You could feel the tension. When asked if she wants to be friends again, Brett said yes. But you could tell it was complicated. She even talked about how hard adult friendships are, how you think it'll get easier, but it actually doesn't. That whole moment felt like the end of something, like a friendship that quietly burned out. And it didn't stop there. Brett's. Mom started liking fan posts that called Reagan a backstabber. Yep, that happened. It was one of those quiet but loud moves, like when your family says what you don't want to say out loud. So clearly, things behind the scenes got messy and fast. But here's where it gets even deeper. The real tension wasn't just personal. It was creative. According to Reagan, the real issue between Brett and the Daily Wire came down to control, especially over their Snow White project. See, the Daily Wire reportedly wanted the film to have a strong anti-woke message, with scenes that were meant to get people online riled up and own the libs. That fits their usual vibe, right? But Brett? She didn't want that. She was aiming for a more neutral, timeless version of Snow White, something that felt classic and magical, not political. That difference in vision? It said a lot. For Brett, this wasn't just a gig. It was her shot to become a serious actress. She wanted the film to connect with everyone, not just one political side. But the Daily Wire? They saw it as part of a bigger culture war, a chance to make a statement. So when Brett said, "Nah, I'm not turning a fairy tale into a political message," the fallout was bound to happen. And that brings us to Reagan, stepping in. Reagan Conrad ended up hosting the comment section, the very show Brett helped create and grow. To fans, it felt like a replacement. Like Reagan was sliding into Brett's spot, both professionally and personally. And even if Brett handled it gracefully on camera, you could tell it stung. When asked if she thought Reagan was disloyal for taking the job, Brett said no. She explained that everyone has to make decisions that are best for them. She even said, "I did what was right for me, and she did what was right for her." Respectful, yes, but you could still sense the pain underneath. Then the interviewer asked why their friendship fell apart. Brett didn't really answer. She paused. She said it was a hard question. That silence? It spoke volumes. Now here's where things get even messier. Snow White and the Evil Queen, the project Brett was once set to star in, has been officially scrapped, at least in the version Brett was involved in. But insiders say the Daily Wire might still try to revive it, possibly with Reagan as the new Snow White, and that, honestly, could be a disaster waiting to happen. Why? Because fans weren't just excited about Snow White. They were excited to see Brett Cooper as Snow White. She was the face of the movie, from teaser trailers to promotional clips. She was the project. So now, trying to replace her? It's not going to go over smoothly. To many fans, Reagan won't just be the new lead. She'll be seen as the replacement. And that's a tough role to take on, no matter how talented she is. And that's not the only project hanging in the balance. Remember Mr. Bircham, another Daily Wire series that Brett was involved in? That show is also in trouble. Season 1 had low viewership and mixed reviews. Brett voiced one of the main characters, Mrs. Bircham. So now, without her, they'd either have to recast or remove her character entirely. It's a mess. The truth is, the Daily Wire is facing a creative crisis. They tried to build an entertainment empire on strong personalities like Brett. But now that Brett has walked away, the whole structure feels unstable. When your whole brand depends on specific people, and those people leave, everything can start to fall apart. If they do move forward with Reagan as Snow White, it might come across as fake, like they're just trying to do damage control and pretend everything's fine. But fans saw the unfollows. They noticed the deleted posts. They're not going to forget. But here's the twist. Just because the Daily Wire can't pull off a Snow White movie doesn't mean Brett can't. Fact, rumors are swirling that Disney is pulling a massive pivot because of the backlash they got for sticking with Rachel Zegler. They've reportedly decided to completely rework their Snow White remake. What started out as a bold, progressive reimagining is now being totally stripped down and rebuilt. Insiders say Disney is moving in a new direction. Think old Hollywood meets fairy tale vibes. They're focusing on grace, charm, warmth, not controversy and viral hot takes. And guess who they're eyeing now? Yep, Brett Cooper. She checks all the boxes Disney wants now. Wide appeal, timeless presence, and no drama. Less Gen Z influencer, more classic Disney princess. As for Rachel Zegler, she's not just being recast. It looks like Hollywood is slowly distancing itself from her. She's not part of the new Snow White promotions. No interviews, no teaser, art, no press coverage. It's like she was quietly erased. And that silence is loud. Not just Disney. Other studios seem to be stepping back too. Rachel's rising star has faded. New opportunities have slowed down a lot. It's like the industry hit pause on her, maybe even permanently, at least for now. What was supposed to be her big Disney breakthrough ended up putting her career on hold. So what's the lesson here? Audiences didn't reject change. They rejected the way that change was handled. Disney gambled on making Snow White more modern, more progressive, but instead of magic, they got controversy. And now they're going back to what they know works, classic storytelling with familiar charm. And Brett Cooper? She might just be the perfect person to bring that vision to life. But what do you think? Is there any truth to the Brett Cooper? Rumors. Will she really become the new Disney princess? Or is this all just wishful thinking? Let me know in the comments. And don't forget to check out our previous videos so you can stay up to date with all the latest drama and tea. Until next time.